Trump walked into the Meyerson Symphony Center thinking it would be just another forum, another stage to tout his achievements, dodge the hard stuff, and flash that practice smirk when cornered. But Jasmine Crockett had come prepared, not just with facts, but with fire. As the lights beamed down and the broadcast cameras captured every breath, the opulence of the concert hall faded beneath the weight of the moment. The velvet seats were filled with lawmakers, journalists, and watchers who didn't know they were about to witness something seismic. The event, titled American Voices, A National Conversation, had been hyped for weeks. Panels, press, pundits. And yet, no one expected this kind of showdown. Trump stood confidently behind his podium, red tie stiff against his chest, reciting familiar lines about record-low unemployment and opportunity zones. "I've done more for Black Americans than any president since Lincoln," he declared, voice booming. A few claps, a few raised brows, some eyes rolled. Then the moderator turned to Jasmine, calm, collected, and deadly precise. She didn't rush. She didn't flinch. "Mr. President," she began, looking him dead in the eye, "Black Americans are not a stat for you to manipulate or a talking point for your applause." Her voice wasn't raised, but every syllable felt heavier than the last. Trump shifted, eyebrows arched in amusement, but he wasn't laughing. "Not really," she continued. "I didn't come here with slogans. I came with lived truth." And truth she had, stories of her community, of small businesses crushed, of homes lost, of justice denied. She talked about her uncle, her neighbors, her roots just 15 minutes from that very stage. The air in the room thickened as she spoke. Phones lit up. A few lawmakers stiffened. The moderator tried to move on, but the moment had already taken hold. She called him out. His Charlottesville comments, his shithole country's remarks, his NFL insults. She reminded him, and the nation, of the names and faces behind his policies. "You say you respect Black Americans while mocking our history, our intellect, our very existence." Trump muttered, tried to interrupt, but Jasmine calmly raised her hand. "You'll have your turn," she said. And the crowd reacted. Then, she dropped the receipts, literal ones, legal documents, quotes, headlines. "United States versus Trump Management Inc. 1973, she read aloud, exposing the discrimination case against Trump's business. She quoted Vanity Fair, the Central Park 5 ad. She brought the kind of proof that couldn't be waved away with a tweet. Trump scoffed, called it fake news, but she didn't stop. When Trump tried to pivot, bragging about opportunity zones, criminal justice reform, and Kanye, Jasmine leaned in. "Two entertainers and a YouTube duo aren't policy advisors," she said flatly. The crowd murmured. Trump's smirk started to slip. "We're not guests in this country," she added. "We built it." And just like that, the room shifted. She told the story of her cousin Darnell, 17, pulled over, never made it home. No charges, no justice, no protest. Just another name swallowed by a broken system. Trump looked away. Jasmine didn't. "Leadership is owning the weight of your office," she said, "even when it's uncomfortable." The moderator asked if she thought the president was disqualified from speaking on race. She didn't blink. "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm saying it." Trump fumed, claiming success, insisting he wasn't a racist, just honest. "But," Jasmine leaned into the camera, not to shame, but to testify. "Silence is never neutral," she said. "And I didn't come here to be silent." She ended the segment not with a flourish, but a challenge. "If you wait for permission to speak, you'll wait forever." The crowd didn't roar, they rose. Applause came slowly, deliberately. This wasn't about noise, it was about resonance. The moment didn't explode, it echoed. Outside, the clips started flying. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Her quotes became movement. Her folder became a symbol. And Jasmine Crockett, the Congresswoman from Texas, wasn't just in the room anymore. She was in the bloodstream of a nation trying to wake up. Backstage, the tension lingered like a storm that hadn't fully broken. Jasmine didn't linger for celebration. There was none to be had. Outside the Meyerson Symphony Center, the humid Dallas night hung thick as people spilled onto the streets, replaying clips, texting quotes, calling relatives. Inside the White House comms room, chaos erupted. She didn't raise her voice, one aide said. That's what made it worse. She didn't have to. Trump sat silent in his hotel suite, fuming. She's nobody, he growled. But everyone around him knew better. By morning, Jasmine's calm dismantling had been broadcast on every network. Fox spun it as an ambush, CNN as a reckoning, MSNBC as the moment the conversation on race hit a new level of clarity. Her name trended across platforms. Not a guest. Binder of truth. Crockett speaks. The press begged for interviews. Her staff's phones rang non-stop. But Jasmine was already back in her district, far from the studios, meeting with mothers who had sons like Darnell, sitting in quiet rooms where politics still felt personal. In a classroom in Terrell, Texas, she stood without notes, speaking. To students who watched the clip in social studies the day before, one asked if she was scared. Jasmine smiled gently. No, because I wasn't alone. I carried all of you with me. The teachers in the back wiped their eyes. The girl in the front row wore a homemade t-shirt that read, "We are not guests." That moment, Jasmine said later, mattered more than trending. Meanwhile, inside political circles, the tremors hadn't stopped. Conservative pundits scrambled to reframe. She disrespected the office, one claimed. But others weren't so sure. She told the truth, and no one stopped her, said a longtime journalist on PBS. At a Capitol Hill briefing, one moderate senator muttered under his breath, "We're going to hear her name a lot more." But Jasmine wasn't thinking about cable news. She was thinking about Tulsa. 4 days later, she stood outside the Greenwood Cultural Center. No red carpet, no podium, just her voice and the shadow of Black Wall Street's ashes beneath her feet. "I didn't come here to relive trauma," she began. "I came to speak somewhere that remembers strength doesn't mean forgetting." The crowd was silent, reverent. Some sat in folding chairs, some stood. But every head turned when she said, "Silence is a privilege. Not everyone survives it." She told them she never planned to go viral. "I came with a spine that wouldn't bend," she said. Her voice was calm again, the same calm that shook a sitting president. "They say I made things uncomfortable. That's good, because comfort never changed a thing. Justice did." A girl near the back lifted her phone to record. A man near the front crossed his arms, nodding in rhythm with every word. Then she gave them one final push. "If you believe." "In truth," she said, "don't sit out the next fight. Don't sit out the hard conversation. Don't sit out because it's hard. Sit in because it's yours." The applause came slow, then steady. People clapped not to make noise, but to say, "We heard you." She raised her hand, not to quiet the crowd, but to close the moment. That night, Jasmine returned to her hotel with no fanfare. No spotlight. Just stillness. But across America, the noise hadn't stopped. In Detroit, a city council session played her speech before debating police budgets. In Cleveland, a community center used her transcript to start neighborhood conversations. In dozens of classrooms, teachers put away textbooks and played her clip instead. Jasmine hadn't just delivered a speech, she had lit a fuse. Trump, meanwhile, remained silent in public, but restless behind closed doors. "Why is she everywhere?" he snapped during a strategy call. "Because she told the truth," one aide whispered before being cut off. On social media, memes flew. In town halls, people repeated her words. "We built this country." Silence isn't strength. Calm isn't weakness. Even those who disagreed couldn't deny something had shifted. By the end of the week, Jasmine's 1-minute video from her district office no music, no edits, became the most shared political video of the year. To every young person who's been told to wait their turn, "Don't," she said. "Tell the truth. Stand tall." That wasn't a slogan. It was a blueprint. It wasn't about her. It was about all the voices that finally knew they were not alone. She turned down the pundit panels. She ignored the offers to monetize the moment. "This isn't a wave to ride," she told her team. "It's a tide to turn." And turn it did. Not all at once, but deeply. People weren't clapping for sound bites. They were remembering the sound of truth when it's finally said out loud. Jasmine had done what no poll could measure. She made America listen, and that she believed was just the beginning.